Until you met your needs, then you will always create a conflict within you to resolve. You need to treat yourself based on what you need and based on what your soul says. Don't make an excuses just because of your fear. The goal is to be able to enjoy our life.
Welcome. Thank you for joining me here today. I am in Bali recording this conversation in person, and so you may hear some of the background noises of a bird. I'm opening spaces for beautiful leadership mentoring starting later this month. If you are interested, please go to www.amisha.co.uk/leadership and book a call so we can discuss if it's right for you. I have just been at Bali Spirit Festival, which is such a powerful celebration of creativity and the healing arts that was created after the Bali bombings. It embodies the Balinese Hindu concept of Tri Hita Karana, living in harmony with our spiritual, social, and natural environments. It was my 4th year at the festival, and it is what initially brought me to this incredible island of Bali. I want to share huge gratitude to the founders of the festival, Meg Pappenheim, Cadet Gunata, and Rio. The whole spirit of the festival and the music evenings are unlike anything that I have experienced anywhere else. There were artists and teachers from all over the world. I want to share with you one incredible medicine musician called Uyai Morris from Dayak, Kenya in North Borneo. There was one song he played and I felt the pain come back into my arm where I'd recently been hurt, and then felt this completely clear. It really felt like the pure power of music as medicine. My guest today is Tunjung Crystal Mandala, a native Balinese woman who was gifted as a child with psychic and healing abilities. Throughout the years, she obtained certification in yoga and spiritual healing modalities. But what makes her truly unique is her powerful connection to the divine. Her ancient wisdom is innate and is a gift that she has been guided to share. She leads and facilitates various self-development, self-empowerment, self-healing, and spiritual journey courses through the art of letting go, which is all about self-love, embracing the inner changes in body, mind, and soul liberation, and self-healing retreat. Each has different focuses and methods with rich and intensive experience of self-exercise, self-process, and group sharing sessions that allow individuals to have deep interaction and connection. She offers one-on-one guidance and healing sessions where she strives to help people to bring peace and improve their quality of life. Tunjung's programs are based in Ubud, a peaceful and spiritual center of Bali. In this conversation called Trusting Our Common Senses, we explore the themes of spiritual development, humility, and grassroots activism as we speak to the question, how do we create a life of ease that meets our soul's needs? We hope that you enjoy this conversation and it strengthens you and brings a new perspective on how you understand your life and therefore your future. Welcome to All That We Are, with me, your host, Amisha Gadiali. On this show, we explore the weave between activism, the sacred, creativity, and regeneration, the spaces where our inner and outer worlds dance. From healing trauma to nature connection, to new technologies to ancient wisdom, it's time for us to move beyond silos and into an integrated way of being. Every one of us has ideas and personal experiences to share that can lead us to a more beautiful future. Despite the challenges we face as a global community or the pressures we meet in our daily lives, when we stop and dare to listen, to ask ourselves the big questions, and to share what we are already doing and envisioning, we create the futures of our wildest dreams. And we begin to embody all that we are becoming, and all that is possible. Tunjung, it is a delight to welcome you to All That We Are. You and I have known each other for a good few years now, maybe 4 years. Yeah, I feel like you have been a big part of my journey over these years, and really honored to have some time to share your wisdom.
It's an honor to have also to share here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And so if I ask you, what are the futures of your wildest dreams? What comes through for you? And it can be like personal or collective, or for me, wildest dreams is almost bigger than you. It can also include like since you were little or now, but it's also maybe for humanity or for this time.
For humanity, this is what I have decided since I was since I was little. I know that my life is for humanity, to help people, and as much as possible. Like when I grew up and then I'm learning a lot about so many things, then I just want people to understand, to have more wisdom of their own emotions, mental, and their journey. It's not to be complicated. It's not to be at ease, actually. My wildest dream for now is for myself, actually, to live at ease. And therefore, I can share to people how to live at ease with their self and their life. Before I'm with my ego, I will say, I want people to be more smarter, have more knowledge about how to face themselves or how to face their life. But now it's more like how can we live at ease, and how can other people can live at ease. That's it.
That's beautiful, because we tend to make things really complicated.
Yes, that's how we are, because of how we are growing up, how we born, our backgrounds, parents, society, and everything like that. So we sometimes forget the truth in ourselves, what we really need, what our soul needs. Actually, we forget about it, and we are too far from that. That's why, even though ease is something that we're looking forward to since we were very young, and what most people do, people wanted to be happy, ease, and everything like that. And we are, most of us, doing many things in our life as a seek of that. But this is not something that you need to seek, right? This is not something that you just need to be present with. And then how can you do that from your growth and the process of life and the journey of life, something like that.
Being in Bali, you get to work with people and be with people from all over the world. Mm-hmm. Do you see a difference? It's often said that the kind of Western mind is more complicated than the Eastern mind. Mm-hmm. Does that feel true to you as you work with people from different countries, or do you feel like actually all humans have this propensity to make things more complicated?
All humans have the capacity to actually make more complicated depending on our background. I don't want to be differentiate East and West, but we are all, of course, we are different in a way that we have a different background, is cultural different. If we say Westerners is complicated, not really, because somehow Westerners also have a very simple and innocent mind, because they are simple. They don't have much of complex background culture than Asian is. Asian actually more complex than I found is more complex, because we've been learned and collide in a certain culture. We've been taught with a certain cultural rules and everything. And then when it comes to the outcome for that, it's maybe a little bit different, but both are actually you can combine both. I think that's what I think. It's just sometimes with the Eastern culture, because we are being taught into a certain thing, common sense at home, so we don't need too much rules from outside, like government rules and everything, to make us doing some certain things, because it's just in our blood or it's just in our culture. But maybe in the Western country, the government have to have the consciousness to make some rules because not everyone have it. But I think in every household that have a different culture that teach everyone to be good and to be kind. But it depends on the personality also. So East and West is different but similar, but every human being have the tendency to be complex. It's hard for me to actually say something. I try to be more polite and more diplomatic and everything, and actually making it more complex. And then I realize now. I'm making it more complex. Okay, go ahead.
How do we live a life of more ease?
Humbleness. So we need to know who we are, what we want, know what we need, our soul needs. So it's not just about like, oh, I need these material things, I need this. But we need to really know who we are. How to know who we are is to really allowing yourself to listen what your soul needs. It means that you need to have a silence so many times with yourself to really know what your soul needs. And when you know what your soul needs, and you're going to work or you're going to do things based on what your soul needs, even though in this lifetime, in this kind of modern world, you need to adapt with that, it's okay. But you can go through that. For example, okay, you think you have a certain money to be happy, a certain this to be, maybe it's not what your soul needs. Maybe you need to drop things that you think you should to be able to be at ease. Because sometimes, like what I said before, human wanted to learn enjoyment, wanted to achieve enjoyment. The biggest fear of human being is to enjoy. Because every time we achieve something, we are always looking for something because we are afraid to enjoy. But the goal is to be able to enjoy our life. So if we are constantly in that situation, we never be at ease. And so if we can drop things that we don't really need, and we focus on like what the soul needs and work based on it, do based on that. It's hard maybe in some situation, but remember to always come back and listen to what she or he needs, and that's when we move forward with. And be humble. Humble means that we put ourselves on the bottom, but not low. You're going to learn to put yourself on the bottom, means that no matter what happened, you are okay because you are in the bottom already. And so when people do trigger you with things, pushing you, bully you, doing things to you, you are okay with that because you never feel higher than anyone. You never feel better than anyone. You never compete with anyone. You never try to look a certain thing. So you don't have inferior. When you don't have inferior, you're just in the bottom. So no one can push you down anymore because you are in the very bottom. But you're not low. You are there because you're grounded and because you know who you are. And then when you know who you are, then no matter what people do, you're going to be humble. You're just going to be okay. You're not going to be defensive. You're not going to be trying to push away. You're not going to try to justify anything. You're just going to be there. Let people do whatever. If it's important for you to do something, you do it. But if it's not, you don't waste your energy and time to actually doing something.
Yeah, I wonder how that equates to the kind of teachings that are really prolific in the spiritual world, which is all about worth and boundaries. Mm-hmm. It feels kind of different to what you're saying.
It's similar. It's the same. When you are putting yourself in the bottom, but not low, remember, you are not low. You are bottom. In the bottom means that you are not, for example, in the bottom of the building. You are in the bottom of your ground.
You're like in the earth.
In the earth. You're earthy and you're grounding. So it means when you are grounded, you are strong within yourself. And you put boundaries, actually. You are really clear with your boundaries. You are very firm with what you want, but not in a defensive manner. No need to justify anything. No need to show who you are. You just knowing who you are. Stay where you are. You are very ground where you are. And then, but you are clear with what you want with your consent. You are very clear with your consent. You are expressing and being agency of your consent. But when the wind blows, nothing can actually blow you because you are ground in the bottom. Who actually can pull you up because your roots is very strong. So when you can do this, means that you need to be really humble. Why really humble? Because when someone trigger you and say things to you, you say like, okay, that's not important. You know they are not important. You know you are important. You are staying with yourself, not with anyone or what people say, not what people did to you. You are staying really ground with yourself. So you always be with yourself when you are like this. Like there's a proverb as in Indonesia like that, because I don't know how to say it the right way in English, yeah. But in Indonesia, that put yourself in the very bottom as you can, so nothing can actually shaking you anymore.
Can you say the proverb in Indonesian?
No, I'm translating from English to Indonesian. So, taruhlah dirimu sebisa mungkin, sesederhana mungkin, ditempatkan dirimu di tempat yang paling bawah sehingga tidak ada yang bisa mengganggumu lagi. So no one can disturb you. If you put yourself as humble as you can, taruhlah dirimu sesederhana, jadikanlah dirimu sesederhana mungkin, very humble, drop everything that, fear and everything, then nothing can shake you. Because if you're not humble, you have a lot of fear. You have a lot of fear. Maybe someone will do something to you. Maybe this is going to happen to you. And many flashes, many fear from the past also coming up as an illusion of, oh, I'm afraid of this. Okay, I have a childhood trauma. I have this trauma also, like connected to every trauma. And this trauma maybe create you as a certain person that you need to be defensive, you need to protect yourself, you need to justify because of that situation. It's okay because that's a process that we need to go through. But if you're able to learn to, it was my trauma, and I'm here now, and I'm here who I am now, and I starting to learn to drop it one by one, wherever I am, and to be with myself, and to know what is the most important for me now. That's when you actually can really one with yourself. Then nothing can break you down. Even though you look break, maybe someone doing something bad to you, it looks like breaking, but you're not breaking. You are just transiting. You are in just transition to actually growing more.
When you talk about connecting to one's soul, learning what it is that your soul might want rather than your ego. How can people learn to differentiate between the soul and the ego, to kind of learn how to differentiate? Yeah.
First of all, soul is consciousness, yeah? So we learn about consciousness, and therefore the soul coming to the earth to refine their consciousness actually. And ego is not something you need to, maybe I will gain the pro cons with this, because ego is not something that you need to get rid of. Ego is a part of our existence. Our existence is soul, physical body, memory, breath is our existence, ego, intellectuality, emotions. So that's our existence. The physical existence is only the body. And what is the link between the subtle existence and the physical existence is the breath. That's why it's important to learn breathing. And then means that ego is a part of us, so that you cannot get rid of the ego. You need to learn also. So ego have a different personality, right? Depend on where you are. So personality or decalogue faces. Sometimes people, oh, you're faking it, or it's your shadow, it's your mask and everything. Maybe, maybe not. It's just a different personality of ego. And sometimes you need that egos when you grew up in the certain things, in the certain situation. You need to be, for example, this person, you need to be this person. Even you don't even try to be like that person. You adapt with the situation. And that's how the personality or ego have come up. So when people are enlightened, like Siddhartha Gautama, for example, the ego is merged. So there's no personality of the ego anymore, right? But the ego is still there. It's just no personality anymore. It's just like that. So for me, like in my opinion, to make it simple, I divide ego as two things. It's two kind of situation: useful ego or abusive ego. With our consciousness, so this is the connection with the soul, with our consciousness, we can differentiate which ego where we are. So if we differentiate this like useful ego or abusive ego, every time we do something or decide something or create something or say something or treat ourselves doing something or in action of something, or thinking, thoughts, emotions, feeling, we always need to ask ourselves, where I am now? Where am I now? Am I in my abusive ego? Am I in a useful ego? What is abusive ego? Abusive ego is the ego that you do it because maybe you're scared of something, you fear of something, or you want to push people down, you are pleasing, you are giving only without wanting to receive, you are receiving only without wanting to give, for example. Or you put yourself down, you put other people down, that's abusive ego. You put yourself small, you compete with others, it's abusive ego. And you make an excuses for so many things, it's abusive ego. So are you there? You doing the certain thing or you say the certain thing to protect yourself or to justify anything or to actually attack people. So you need to do that. You need to be aware of it. And useful ego is an ego as a drives for you to become better human being, to become like a machine, a drive, like you want to grow better. People say, oh, I want to grow better, that's why I do this. You need to really ask yourself, do you really want to grow better without pushing people down? Because when you think that you are growing better with pushing people down or, something like that, it's not a useful ego, it's still abusive ego. So you need to be careful with your consciousness here. So this is the soul needs to actually get involved. This is not different, but actually we cannot differentiate, but it's already different anyway. The consciousness and the ego is already different anyway. But we need to use our consciousness to be able to know where we are in our ego. So this is the way to see it. And then, the drives to be better, to grow better. And sometimes people, okay, you don't need to do that. You don't need to drive to go better. You're going to be flat. Because we are human beings. We grow every time. We meet people every time. We want something. And from there, we grow, the soul growing, the consciousness growing, and the ego also may growing with the consciousness growing. So when that happens, we need to know where we are still. So we always checking where we are. If we don't know that, then we don't have consciousness. So it's different, but it's connected. If you think, okay, we need to get rid of the ego, so there's no ego, you're going to be flat. When you're flat, you don't even want to grow. You don't want even to grow. You're just going to be just there. You're okay with everything, but you're just going to be there. You don't want even to grow better. You're not going to change anything in your life. And then also, when you're still a human being that need to pay your bills, you still need that ego, the useful ego. Otherwise, if you're flat, then you don't want to grow, you don't want to do anything also. If you maybe able to live like, okay, in the wood by yourself, maybe you don't need that. But even to live in the woods to find what food to eat, what the plants that good for you to eat, and to connect with the animals, you need this connection and ego as well to find, So Yeah, that's how I see it. So not differentiate it, but see it as a link to help each other. Like the consciousness is the mandatory screen to filter the ego. Actually, that's what it is.
And so in order to be able to connect more with our soul,
Consciousness, the silent, the allowing yourself just to be with yourself, allowing yourself just to be silent. Silent doesn't mean that you don't have a thoughts. Silent means that you don't get involved with your thoughts. And let whatever it is coming up first and listen that carefully. You have the thoughts still, you have this distraction still, but you're just gonna be silent. The moment of silence that you build up every day with yourself, that's gonna make you understand more connection with the consciousness. And also honesty. You need to be very honest with yourself, really, really honest with yourself. Maybe it sounds harsh if I said, try to be the brutal truth for yourself, but it's not in the harsh way. Can you be really honest with yourself? Means that if you have a very subtle abusive ego, very subtle judgment of something, in your thoughts, in your emotions, in your feeling, you need to be really honest about that with yourself. And then once you can be really honest, not making excuses with it, then you're committed to grow from it. When you can do that, then you have 100% trust to yourself, from yourself. And the more you have the trust to yourself and from yourself, you build the intimacy with yourself and with your consciousness. Then awareness or consciousness is the way of living. It's not only when you do it when you are sitting down in your meditation, but it's 24/7 way of living. Doesn't mean that you need to be like a perfect person that not doing any mistake. But if you will be aware if you do something that not right for you and not connected to what your soul needs and everything like that, or maybe not nice to other people as well. Because when you are connected to the soul, it's not going to be selfish. It's not going to be pushing away to other people, but it's going to be have more awareness and have more space actually to connect with people, to connect with yourself, and you can easily to connect with people more, and then you have more space to actually helping more people.
Beautiful. Thank you for that
You
and
are
for
welcome.
articulating it so clearly.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being really patient and very nice and very accommodating for me.
You have had an unusual journey in your life in order to be offering this work.
Mm-hmm.
It has involved you having to break various conventions and do things in your own way. Can you share a little bit around that journey for you and how you were able to listen to your own guidance and make that path for yourself, where you found the courage?
Actually, to be professional, maybe only 10, 11, 12 years ago. But somehow I found the courage to be myself and to follow what I feels right and be really in my gift is maybe since I was very little, very young. But what I see my gift is not only in the mystic. It's not because I'm the seer, but my gift is that I am trusting myself. When I'm trusting myself, then I build a strength within me to really be a good vessel for and bridge for the divine energy to come through me. Then I can be the bridge for beautiful people energy to connect with. So that's what I see more, because they're trusting. And then what I do to be there is like what I explained before, how you need to be really honest and really clear and then be silent every time to grow and to really clear with yourself and willing to grow, to get through everything, not in the reactive way. So when you don't know what's going to happen, when you don't know things, stop for a minute and listen and don't be reactive, because when you get reactive, that's when the problem started. And that's how it is. Like the journey as a seer is not easy as well. It's not as cool as maybe what people think. So
that's true.
Because you're getting more sensitive. Yeah, I'm sure that many people also feel that. You're getting more sensitive. It's not really easy. And there's many unspoken rules that you need to do. But this is a chance for everybody. But I don't know, it's really depend on how you're taking it. But maybe when we put a level of mental illness, then some gifted people has it. And for me, somehow, I don't want to put that level on me, but some symptoms that people talking about is in me. Gladly, I don't really need medication for that, but I'm using a way of being intimacy with yourself. Using that gift for me is the situation with the sensitivity and situation with the mental is the chance for me to understand myself better, to understand how the system in my body, in my brain, in my physical, energetic system working. So when I have understanding of the system in myself better, then I know how to adapt with things better. And therefore, the connection between me and different things from outside, different energy, different dimensions and everything, it's stronger. But what I've learned also, some people have a different way of facing that because it depends on your DNA, gene. Also, some people get really sensitive and they cannot handle it, no matter what you do, and they need maybe a certain doctor or medication to help them also. Some people strong enough, so it depends. And find your way. My suggestion, if you get through similar things, sensitive things and connection and everything, try to use this chance to be more intimate with yourself and listening to your system, your body system, your thinking system, your do things system. From this, you adapt with the world. And you can be flexible and don't judge yourself. Don't put so much expectation on your shoulder. Then you're gonna like do day-to-day living, like still in your journey in more gentle way without too much pain. Yeah, less pain and less struggle. Before I was really struggling long time ago because I don't know, and struggling with connection, struggling with the pain, struggling with so many things and the reactive. And there's a time that maybe since I was little, people think I'm crazy, but there's a time that when I'm really merged with this energy, I am really crazy. Then just being silent and really allowing myself, that's when it changed and building up my strength. And the focus is building up your wisdom, like to understand the wisdom in everything that happened in you. So this wisdom is the foundation. And then when you have this wisdom as a foundation, it's really easy for you to connect with everything.
Thank you for sharing that, because I feel like there's so many people that are on a journey around sensitivity and the unseen world and intuition. And also we are at a time where mental illness is so ripe. And it's often said that perhaps all of the seers and the people that are holding many of the big gifts of our time are actually locked away in the mental institutes because they're not understood. And there's something really interesting at the moment because it feels like intuition is becoming more accepted and recognition that there is far more in this world than we can see. And of course, we are sat here in Bali where there is such deep belief and honoring in spirits and in magic. And yet we're finding that rates of mental illness, depression, anxiety are rising. I wonder what you feel around that relationship.
The relationship is because it's not allowing. Very simple. It's like because we are afraid of our soul needs. Because sometimes our soul needs that is illogic to the world today, to what world says today, what is right, what is wrong. We're not allowing our soul to be listened. We're not allowing our soul to express as it is. And also with the gadgets and all this, the technology and everything, it's also not easy it's affected people's mind, people's brain, people everything. I'm not against pharmacy, but some medicine, if it's too much in your body, it's also affected your system. It's not helping you too much. That's why, come back to the words that I said before, that if a person can allow themselves to be listened by themselves carefully and not reactive, for example, then they will know how to adapt to it. When you adapt to it and you know how to adapt with yourself and what yourself needs, maybe what you need is just like sleeping. Maybe what you need is working out. Maybe what you need is shower or clean your room or something like that. But because you are in depression, cannot do that because you lost your energy to do that. Maybe what you need to force yourself to just do it, for example. And not against your mind, but creating the motivation. Because motivation is not something that coming to you. Motivation mostly actually is something that you create. By doing some routine or discipline, then you create that motivation actually in you. That's very important, even though it's in a very hard space. I get through that as well, yeah? So when I say like, okay, that happened to me, so what? I'm just gonna start with this first. And then I'm committed to that. Then I just commit, keep on doing it. That's when I'm actually going out from something. So it's very important for someone who have really discipline for that. No matter what is the discipline. Either wake up in the morning, it's very important to wake up in the morning, shower in the morning, and sit with yourself, and then do some workout, have a sweat, and sitting with yourself just to listen to yourself and to listen to what you need. And really listen. When you listen and you start to take an action a little bit by little bit. No need to be like extremely have to change like now, have to change like this. No, a little bit by little bit. Baby steps. I'm just going to do it now. I'm going to do it now. This. And if you find yourself procrastinate, you need to see why you procrastinate. Are you afraid of the result? Are you afraid of the failure of the result? Because sometimes people procrastinate because they may do some mistake, or they may fail in the result of what they do, the action that they do. So that's make people lost before the war, and that's where the procrastination started. Then, okay, you need to do like this. Okay, I have procrastination, and so what? You need to really be able to say to yourself, and so what? Let's do this now. Let's do this. Even though this is connecting to the different world, different realm, and everything like that, it's similar. You know why it's similar way of doing this? Because we are born as a human. So be a good human. We are born as a human with the flesh and everything, and whatever connection that we have in a different dimension in everything, we need to be good as a human first, grounded as a human first. Then we can have a good connection with a different energy, a different mystic, whatever it is, different dimension, different realm. Only when we can ground as a human. If you cannot ground as a human, then no matter how big or how huge, how strong you give, you will never ground it. You never feel like, you will always wobbly. You will always confuse, and then you will always have this mental illness disturbing you. But if you can ground because you are a human being, remember your consciousness coming to the earth and choose to be a human, okay? Choose to be in this flesh. Choose to be in the body. Otherwise, you're not going to be human. Because you are choosing. Even though you think you come from different planets, doesn't really matter. You are human anyway, because you're born in this lifetime, in this earth, to be a human. So be a good human then, and grounding as a human, then you can connect to different realm in a very ground and really beautiful way. Otherwise, in that world, also in that realm, you're going to be confused. Then as a human, you're going to be confused. That's when you actually confuse and then have all this more confusion, all people call it mental illness and whatsoever. So this is the way to do that, because if you don't have good connection, then you're not going to have a good connection there. If you can be a good human, like have good connection with yourself, then it's easy for you to get connection with other realm or spirits or even animals or other humans, Like remember, we are humans. We need to be, even not every human is nice, but you need to be able to connect with other humans nicely also.
Thank you for tuning in. If you are enjoying this episode, do join our membership. For a small contribution, you can be part of our community, where we deepen the conversation and offer spaces of learning and embodiment. As a member, you are a patron supporting the making of this show, keeping the episodes full length, free and accessible for all. And you receive a number of benefits, such as monthly soul space, going deeper sessions, access to our library of workshops, and discounts on all our online and in-person experiences. Our membership is what makes us able to make this show and stay advertising free in a world that is always trying to sell us stuff we don't need. Head to allthatweare.org/membership to find out more and join today. We are here in Bali. This culture has been pulling people to this place from all over the world for spiritual seeking. And we are here in Ubud, where there is this full-on global spiritual community that comes here. What is it about this land and this island and this culture that creates that desire to come and be here for spiritual practice?
Bali has a mother energy, yeah? So Bali is beautiful, but it's not easy as well, like a mother. So Bali will take things away from you when you come here for healing or something, but you're not ready yet. So many things will happen. Maybe Bali sound is not easy or not nice to you, but because you are not ready to receive. But once you are ready to receive, Bali will give you everything. Similar like us for Balinese. And we are in Bali living based on Trihita Karana. We call it Trihita Karana. So our relationship to lower spirit, as in the spirits and animal and plants, and our connection to human as human, and our connection to the higher consciousness as the divine. So Balinese kept this connection with ceremony as well. So we have different ceremony. For example, we have Tumpak Kandang. For example, Tumpak Kandang is one of the day that we respect animals. It's like all the animals' birthday. We have the plants' birthday. We have also our Valentine days in a Balinese way. So we have arts days. We have so many days here. We're celebrating it. And this is the way we try to balancing between the lower, the middle, the upper, and balancing with the world and the universe. This is the way we balance that, and we try to live like that. For the Balinese, the Balinese means mostly Hinduism. Mostly we are also afraid with karma, because karma is really fast for everyone here. Not for Balinese only, for everyone who live here. Usually karma run very fast. Whether good karma or bad karma is run very fast. You get what you plant quickly. So because of that, we also try to be as kind as we can, do good thing as we can, because we are mostly people afraid of karma here. Yeah, not everyone good, of course, we are human being, but mostly they really try to balance the world, the universe with this situation, energetically and physically. The physical world and energetic world, the divine world and this physical world, something like that.
What do you feel is important for people that are coming to Bali from other countries, maybe for their first time, or even people that live here that may not have really deepened their experience with Balinese culture?
We have a proverb, di mana bumi dipijak, di situ langit dijunjung. And we carry that everywhere we go. Means that wherever you are step on, that's where you carry the skies. So then means for everyone who come here, what you need to is don't expect that Bali will be like your country. It's different. But even though we are a developed country, we are not poor country. We are slower or anything because we know what we want, because we don't, many are Balinese or Indonesia, we don't want a big thing, huge thing, or we don't want a giant thing. What we need is this at ease inside, and therefore we just take what we actually need. So not because we are lazy, but because we know what we need. That's it. And for life, try to adapt with it. So no one is better than the other. We are not better than you. You are not better than us. We are all human beings. We are all here grow and, learning and like supporting each other. So try to respect the culture, try to respect the people, try to adapt. So wherever you are, therefore you carry the sky. It means that you try to adapt with the culture and everything. You don't need to feel better than anyone, and then we are not better than you. We are here to be kind and to support each other and to learn the mixed culture, learning to be better. And that's what we are for. So, and use your common sense, yeah? Common sense is wisdom. So the simplest common sense that you need to remember is treat people like you want to be treated. So if you don't like a certain treatment from others, then you don't do it to others. That's it. When you can actually carry that simple thing, then you'll be okay. Then you can carry that every time you want to do something to people. You need to measure that to yourself, come back to yourself. This is about ego and consciousness, come back there. Do I like to be treated like the way I'm treating them? If I don't, I'm not going to do it to others. That's it, making it simple. It's very simple.
How do you feel that the worlds of the expats and the tourists and all the spiritual events fit in with the Balinese culture here? What is it about Bali that's so different to every island?
We are also greedy because of the tourism. We are respect tourists, we are also greedy. And therefore we are kind of like not respect ourselves.
Is it greed or is it like a dependency? Because what we saw in the pandemic when tourists were not here was that there was no food.
There's a lot of food. There's a lot of food.
But everyone didn't get the food.
No, not really. It's totally different mindset. During the pandemic, what happened is that many people who work for the tourism, they don't get the food. And the government is not fair. So many are in Indonesia, because we have very strong grassroots, we have a natural disaster, a lot of natural disaster. And therefore, Indonesian is very fast to help each other. That's the good thing about the natural disaster is we are in very quick and fast in helping each other. That's what we did during the pandemic. There's many community that's helping the people, not only giving the foods, but actually the Indonesian people or Balinese people who understand about have the real understanding about our culture. They teach people not to depending of this tourism. They teach people to come back to their source. For example, in Nusa Penida, they teach them to actually creating something from the seaweed again. But because back then, before the tourism, seaweed the most highest export. And they teach them how to protect the seaweeds as well. But they also teaching them the salt and everything. And this is good for the cosmetic and everything, candy, foods and everything. And people come back to that. And they have a lot of money for that. And people come back to the place when they actually creating the sarong and everything like that. With what is with the tourism is fast money. That's what people do. That's why I said greed. It's fast money. And people come back to the garden anymore, like to the field anymore. They have field. They don't hungry actually. But because of the fast money that they don't receive, they feel like, oh, everyone hungry. It's actually not. Maybe people are in the city who don't have a yard or garden or field that they cannot plant by themselves. They are hungry, but not everybody. Maybe everybody who are depend or attached to the tourism, they will have this problem, but not everybody. But the mass thing, sometimes what I see in the pandemic, many are people in hype. I'm helping people. I'm helping Balinese people during the pandemic and giving these hundreds of sending to this. Maybe they don't really need it. Go to the village. The village people have a lot of foods because they grow their own foods. Like the very village who can grow their own foods. The people in the city may not have foods because they don't grow their own foods. My helper at home, she's upset to me. She said like, Ibu, how can I work now? Blah, 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 blah. I don't have the money. How can I pay like this? And I said to her, like, listen, you are richer than me. You have a land. You have field. You have a house to live, for your family house. And if you're hungry, you can go to your garden. You grow your own foods. While I don't have all that thing. Because we used to, with the fast money, and we think differently. Oh, I think I'm totally poor because I don't have this. No, that's when actually my helper said, okay. And I said, you are richer than me. If now I don't have money to pay my rent and, to pay my food, then I don't have a house anymore. I cannot eat anymore. Well, you still can eat because you grow your own food. And what we need as a human being is only that. When we lost everything, we need foods to eat, and then very simple foods. And many other people in Bali still have it because it's actually the shock. And then, I am poor. But what we do, like I'm one of the founder of Ubud Collective and Na Ubud. So I'm creating a grassroots to help people. So I'm very grateful that I receive help from all over the world to help people in Bali. So I'm choosing actually 40 family to give that they are really, so we need to have the data as well. Who is really impacted by the pandemic? Not everybody. So I choose like 40 family to support every 2 weeks from the money that I receive. So they can have a steady, comfortable, sustainable, I'm safe. I can help many hundred people with that to change, but one-time give is not sustainable. So I'm choosing 40 family for 2 years to actually support. And that's with the Ubud Collective, with the helps with so many people in the world. I'm very grateful and thankful for that. And then finally, we decided to create Nak Ubud. Nak Ubud is, we decided to not ask help from anybody anymore. We created a market. So for the small business in Bali at the time, that people who lost their job and everything, they start to learn to be independent, to create something for themselves, to actually supporting themselves. So that's what I'm doing actually. There's a big events actually market every month at a time to support these small businesses that just created by the time, and we supporting each other. And this is the community things that we do monthly with these people who are actually selling their business and everything. With the money, they will give us maybe 10% to 15% from the profit. And this money is to help people that cannot help themselves. So we helping to help. So that's what we actually created during the pandemic. That's why I understand people also learn at the time, learn to to know themselves better, to know that, oh, I'm not leaning on the tourism only to do this. I can do something different. And they become more creative. And there's many success stories after that. They never thought they can do this. They never thought they actually want to change. And now some people, they are not everyone come back to the tourism. So they found a creation actually during the pandemic because of that. So that's what happened.
Can you share more about the diversity of Indonesia?
We are diverse. So if we talk about religion, we accept Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Konghucu we call it, and Christian and Catholic. Konghucu is the Chinese belief. And I think even now we call it the belief. So we call it the religion of the belief. So you can believe in, as long as you believe in God. And yeah, mostly Muslim. And I think we are Hindu. There's many Hindus everywhere in Indonesia, even in Jakarta, in the most population of Hindus, or in Java. Maybe people hear in the news how different they are, the treatment, but not always true. Because here is really like adapting and supporting each other. Even in other islands, we are respecting other people's belief and religion. Not everyone, of course not. Mostly we love it. We love these. This is the thing with Indonesian, yeah, mostly Indonesian. We love our culture. We love the diversity. We speak differently. We have different languages. We have different costumes. Yeah, even in Bali, we have different costume and languages actually. We have different foods. We have different dialects. We have totally different cultures. And we love it. We kind of like love it, you know. And for me, that's what I miss with Indonesia, the diversity. It doesn't really matter you are Bali or anywhere. You can see when there's an event and you put all this culture together, it's really beautiful. And that's why I come back to, we are not better than other, and other is not better than us. We are all the same. And some people who cannot respect that, they will have a problem. But sometimes I see also the natural disaster or like something like pandemic is a blessing in disguise, because we don't separating ourselves when we helping others, or we give help, or we receive help. We cannot, oh, you are Hindu, I cannot help you. Or you are Muslim and I cannot receive from Hindu. You cannot do that when you are in a situation. So that's make us always together no matter what. It's a blessing in disguise. Sometimes I like, that's actually a blessing in disguise, because we are in different islands. Some people that maybe have the agenda, not only Muslim, it's everyone. People have the agenda to do things, but then with the natural disaster, actually we, like it or not, we need to be together, always helping each other. And what you call it, yeah, under the geography's line, because of that we are in the ring of fire. That's why we have all the volcanic and all this natural disaster, everything, because of that. And then we need to always help each other, always help each other. We need to always help each other back up. And therefore we need to drop our differences.
And the whole world is really moving into a space of being close to natural disasters.
Yes, I think. But because of the geographic, then we have to face it since so long.
Absolutely. But now we're moving into a time with climate change where everyone has to face it.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is that this ability to be the earth, to be humble, and therefore community.
Yeah, and then knowing, like, you know, there's a wisdom here in Indonesia back then from our ancestor that, for example, when you take, and this is what sadly many people are missing. That's why I said greed in the world and everything like that. Everything is fast. Everything have to be now fast, big, giant, a lot. Back then in our culture, in our ancestor, when you take the wood, for example, from the forest, you take the log, they will right away plant a new one. There's no taking only. There's always taking and giving. There's always replacement. Back then it's like that. We have to be patient to let everything grow and ready to take. So back then, that's why there's in Bali, in Balinese calendar or lunar calendar, there's always like, even in Indonesia or any culture, that there's always a good day to take the fruits, a good day to take this, a good day to take that. It's not because of like the legend or a mystic or myth, but it's because of there's a good day to take that because they are ready for that. We wait until it's ready. Nowadays, we don't wait until it's ready because we need more and more and more and more because of that. So that's the difference. That's what we need to come back for. We need to learn that giving and receiving. Remember, like when I said before about the ego, abusive ego or useful ego. And if you giving only without wanting to receive, it's abusive ego. If you receiving only without wanting to give, is abusive ego. So we need to really know the swap, the balance of giving and receiving. It's the dance of Shiva and Shakti. It's giving and receiving, yin and yang and all that.
Beautiful. I really feel the relationship between understanding that in our own personal journeys and it being a collective time where we all need to understand that together.
Yeah. And then we need to have awareness of like what we use and what we do with what we use and how we use it, how things will end. For example, the plastic, how it's end, the fast fashion, how it ends or something like that. And do you know how to do something with that? So it's all connected. The earth is connected to us. The spiritual is connected to everything. And yeah, it's not different. So it's come back to the things that I said before, treat everything like you want to be treated. So whatever you want to receive in this life, in this earth, in this lifetime, then you're going to do everything like that, based on that. That's the way to make it simple, like from the perspective of like, I don't know much about things, for example. So just making it very simple, just do things that you want to be treated. That's it.
And why is this so hard? Like, we are here in Ubud where there is this huge global spiritual community. It's not what comes out all the time in these communities that people are connecting to that simple, treating others how they wish to be treated.
I know you're going to admit it.
And so, I feel like it's important to us because somehow it is more complicated than that.
Maybe not.
And many people fall into shadows and fall into patterns and fall into other aspects. And I know that you understand the depths of that because I've experienced your work. And so I wonder what you can offer in terms of how we all understand why it isn't actually as simple.
Actually, very simple. Human just making it so complicated. Like this. If we are honest with ourselves, come back, we're not better than anyone. When we have inferior inside us because, I want to be better, or I'm scared, I'm this. I want to show more, I want to be more. That's when we're not treating other people right. And you may act like that because of your trauma with someone or, trauma when you're childhood, trauma when you go, but you had experience that people treating you bad and you are very kind and then people taking you for granted and then you become bitter and all that. But if you're bitter, you will feel not good anyway. So maybe in the complex things, you want to make it simple as well, like do things that make you feel, your body feels good. If you treat people even though you think, it's okay, you feel good about it. If you're really honest, come back to the honesty. You're not going to feel good about it. So actually, it's very simple. You just need to be really honest to yourself. The very subtle emotions or ego or thoughts, If you're really honest, after you treat other people not good, even though you talk in the name of spirituality, there's going to be something inside you that don't feel good, don't feel right. So means that you need to treat yourself based on what you need and based on what your soul says. Don't make an excuses just because of your fear. This is human fear actually that make people cannot treating other people based on what they want to be treated. It's the fear of smaller than others, fear of on the past, fear of the future, fear of so many things. And we're not present. When we are not present, we drag into so many things, and then it's really easy to actually trap into our shadows. The shadow is what? In Hinduism, in Balinese Hinduism, the enemies is ourself. We call it Satripu, sixth enemy in ourself. It's our greediness, our jealousy, our anger, our blindness to see, and our ego, as in like always right, and our not willingness to see. So that's actually the sixth enemy. So basically, when you are treated people not good, you are facing your own enemies. You're facing yourself. So that's the Satripu, based on Satripu. Everyone that you don't treat nice is you facing yourself as an enemy. Can you face yourself? If you can face yourself, then you can be treated people as good as you want. So that's it. So it's not complex. It's complex because of the fear, of the anger and everything like that. Yes, if we want to victimize ourselves, we can say, oh, because I'm traumatized with this, with this, with this. But can you be true with yourself? Yes, you were traumatized, but does it make you feel good or not when you do that? If it's not make you feel good, don't do it. It's come back to yourself. It's something like that. I made a lot of mistakes also, yeah? I'm still a human being, so I have a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm learning from that. It's not about not making a lot of mistakes, but it's how can you aware of that mistake and growing from it. It's more like that.
Beautiful. What is the call to action that you'd like to leave us with from this conversation? And it can be something. Why is that funny?
I don't know. I'm not really good at it. Okay.
Your call to action, it can be something that we can do, like in ourselves, perhaps like becoming more like the earth. And also it can be something that we can support, or, you know, it could be a Bud collective.
Like now I'm not running a Bud collective anymore because we're done with the pandemic already. But if you want to support something in Bali, you can support kids that have disability. There's some places like Sakitarias or Permata Hati or anything like that. You can actually support some kids that may be in the village that they need English teacher and everything like that. But you can support that also, or maybe not in Bali, maybe in other islands. Other islands have a harder time, school or something like that. Not just because we are poor, but because of the geography, and it's really hard to get there, you know. So the help is really hard to get there, the transportation and everything, because like what I say, we are the largest archipelago in the world. Yeah, we have 18,000 islands and many small islands too. And we have 7,000 languages and different culture. So to get to the places is really hard. That's make it hard to actually helping people in the very far, far away islands. But some places actually still raw, but now this is what my concern now also. Nickel, you know nickel? The battery, for the battery.
Uh-huh.
So there's a very tribal place in Maluku, I forgot the long name of it, that is still very raw, but they have they have the natural produce of nickel, the highest one. And now people try to disturb them and build them. They try to send people out. This is still, we talk about the primitive tribe and still there. And they try to take the nickel there, and nickel for the battery, because we are now all with the, what you call it, the battery?
With the phones and everything.
Yeah. So instead of with the phones, with these, all the electric car and everything like that. And that's what actually gonna affect us. Maybe if someone have awareness of it, maybe I don't have the how to reach that, but maybe someone, if you can reach that or something like that, can help them also. Maybe it's good. And also the orangutan in Borneo, that's some action that you can do.
And are there specific charities that you recommend for reaching
Orangutan.
the people in, well, all of the things that you've mentioned?
For the nickel, I don't know. For the nickel, I just read and then Renee. I don't know some specific organization that help them. But for orangutan, there's some actually. Maybe I can look up in my list first. Then I can tell you, but I can't remember everything.
We can share the links to some organizations around all of these courses in the share.
Yeah, I think so.
So what's happening is that they're mining for nickel where the indigenous tribes are, and then this is bringing the indigenous tribes into danger.
True. Yeah, so they try to have the mining because they have most. Like what I said before, Indonesia is the largest archipelago. We are very rich with our natural produce. And many of our people try to take more and more and more, like gold and everything. We finished our oil already. Yeah, the oil is finished already here. So we still have a lot of things because of the archipelagos. So that's very dangerous. And for my quotes, not for the action, but this is for the action, for the personal action, yeah? Until you met your needs, then you will always create a conflict within you to resolve.
Until you've met your needs, you will always create conflicts.
You will always create a conflict within you to resolve.
And so the call to action is to meet your needs.
Yes. And come back to the first thing I said, listen and silent.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
How would you like people to connect with you deeper from here?
You can connect to me deeper by, I'm actually available online, but because we have a different time, then we need to set up schedules and everything. But you can connect to me through my websites is Tunjung, Tunjung, TunjungBaliHealer.com. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode and it has sparked some inspiration and creativity in you. As always, you can find links to everything we mention in this episode, download our book, and discover so much more over on allthatweare.org. We give space to our guests to share their perspective without debating it or fact-checking, as this approach allows for deep, unedited conversations from the heart. We trust your discernment and wisdom to take what is useful and challenge what isn't in your own understanding. We offer spaces for discussion and integration in our membership community, which we would love for you to join. We don't believe in selling you things you don't need through this podcast, and so it's made possible by you, our beautiful community. If you loved this and would like to connect more deeply with us, please join our membership. You choose what you contribute based on our sliding scale, and you become a patron whose support makes this podcast happen, as well as receiving access to a library of many resources and invitations to nourishing events. Please also hit subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen so others can find us. This podcast is made by an all-female global team. Me, Amisha Gadiali, producer and host, Anna Greta Folderbach, who crafts the words that accompany each episode, and Mary Chan, who edits the sound so skillfully. All That We Are celebrates all that we are already and the untapped potential that lives inside us. It invites the full power of the more than human world, nature, the unseen, our ancestors, and our future generations. It reminds us that we never exist in silo, through borders, timelines, or polarity, that in each and every moment, all that we are is here.